Hey,
Hello.
we're moving right along.
Welcome back.
Um, we're very happy to have Darren Rizza with us presenting from Chicago on behalf of his company headquartered in New Delhi.
New Delhi.
Okay.
Yeah. And where it's 2:45 a.m. So thank you for the whole Trezi team for being on here to support Darren. Darren, you have some great art there.
So Darren, we're focusing on your presentation, and you can take it away.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so here we go. Trezi by SmartVizX. Just a quick, brief history about all of us and how things got started. The old adage, three architects walk into a bar. Titi and Gautam, the co-founders of the company SmartVizX, we met, I don't know, almost 10 years ago when we were working at Space Matrix. I was in Singapore, they were in New Delhi. And I had actually just moved from New Delhi to Singapore. I joined as CIO, and they were running India for interior design. And when they exited Space Matrix shortly thereafter, I did as well. We joined up again. They had this fabulous idea for what is now Trezi, and I said, sure, I would definitely like to join in and help you guys out and create a product that's all about architects and interior designers and building product manufacturers, getting them together to be able to work and collaborate together more easily in VR, and of course, all for the benefit of tenants and owners. And so after a year or so of work and development, born out of this product is Trezi. And our backgrounds of being architects and knowing the problems, knowing the issues firsthand, because we've experienced them day in, day out. I, as a CIO, implementing technology over the past, 30 odd years, everything from the very first things of AutoCAD, then into Revit, and now into VR, on, having fortune on very large projects like Freedom Tower and Burj Khalifa, and being able to work behind the scenes at companies like Autodesk. We all feel really confident with how we approach and solve for these issues. And, so a couple of the things we like to do, we like to present design within Trezi. One of the easiest things that you can do is get in there, bring your model in from Revit, bring your model in from SketchUp or in FBX. And Rhino too. Bring the models in very quickly, get in there by yourself, or get in there with your team and start presenting the design, showing it off, getting people to understand it faster than they've ever understood it before. And then, of course, communicating that back out. So while you're in there, you're going to see a lot of great opportunities for what you want to do, making decisions, things like that. All those wonderful things about creating snapshots and panoramas and videos as you're moving around, just so you can either record it, share it, whatever you need to do on social media, in marketing, etc. As well as while you're working in Trezi, you're able to review design and really see what's going on. All that information that you bring in from Revit, from SketchUp, or from any of the other model sources, all that comes in with you. So you're really able to work with layers and location tags and things like that. So a lot of that content is maintained. And even though you may not have been the creator of that content, you can very easily access it and work with it and move things around. And you're able to as well interact. We don't just let you view it. We take down the velvet ropes and we let you play with the model, change things, erase, delete, duplicate, and bring in things from other things like building product catalogs and most recently from BIM objects. So we'll all see that up in a bit. And as I was saying, you get to modify the models while you're within Trezi. No velvet ropes here. You get to go in and really begin and look at those changes. Something feels too high. Yeah, you can measure it. You can see how high it is off the floor, but you also then can move it and find the right placement. Well, if that's too high, what's too low? Where does it belong? And so you're able to do that type of thing. But now we all know not everybody has access to a VR headset, especially in India, where we've been really finding our customers, soon coming to the US. And so we need desktop environment. So everything that you can do in VR, you can do on the desktop. And it was sort of a giant moment for us when we said, okay, we'll do desktop, because we'd always been a VR first. We really wanted to make sure that everybody was in VR at all times. But then we brought in the desktop, and we saw that this is how you collaborate. This is how you get work done. Some people in VR, some people on the desktop, and soon on pretty much any other device going. And then, as I've been saying, we work with the industry's main model types. And by industry, I mean the AEC industry. So we work a lot with Autodesk's FBX, their Revit, with Trimble SketchUp, and with McNeil's Rhino. On the cusp, we're going to be seeing things like BIM 360 and other products that our customers are telling us that we may need to work with. And as well, we are a platform with an open API. So, hey, you guys too can also develop and work and create plugins that go along with Trezi as well. So let's stop talking. Let's go meet in Trezi. I'm going to do this via video because I wasn't sure how long the day was going to go. And I wanted to make sure that we could all benefit and see what's happening. So I've got a brief video here that basically walks us through this process. Right here, what you should be able to see is the ability for creating the meeting, which is all that wonderful good stuff that you do with your typical calendar. And so right from inside of Trezi, you're able to select date, time, give it a title. You're going to select a couple of things that are a little bit different. You're going to select your workspace, that model that you've already been working with within Trezi. As well, when you add in people, you can add in Trezi users and you can add in non-Trezi users, and you can allow them to edit the model completely. You can give them annotation rights where they can just walk around and measure and leave notes, or view only. Hands off, buddy. I don't trust you. So once you create that meeting, out go the invitations. People get emails. If they're a Trezi user, they're going to load up Trezi. They're going to see it in their upcoming meetings. If they're not, they're going to get a link to download and install and directions for getting Trezi for the time of the meeting. So here you can see people joining in. Here we are, all of our avatars. If they're in VR, they've got a headset on. If they're not, they don't have a headset on. Everyone gets assigned a color, so that way as they're working with the model and they've got objects in hand, they're going to be highlighted in those colors. As well, we're looking at the hosts panel. The host and attendees all have a series of controls for muting other people to help them out. So that way if you get a lot of people going on, you can get somebody to be muted, things like that. The gather all function is really good for the host, as you'll see in a moment. This allows the host to go somewhere in the model and bring all the attendees with them. So here you see people are still out of that tabletop, kind of looking down at the scale model. You click the gather all, and here we all are now at scale within a model. A great source model here from one of our early development partners, Steelcase. So good shout out to them. And so we're going to basically begin to see what happens when people are working. So here I am. You can tell it's me because I'm selecting things and deleting them out of the scene, and I'm going to duplicate a few things over. Chandan and Hari are also in here. They're taking a look around and wondering what I'm doing, but they're watching in real time as I move things and as I duplicate things. This stuff happens. There is no pause. There's no wait. And so I'm very easily able to grab objects and in this case, duplicate it, bring it on over, and have it now exist. They can see what's happening. As well, all of this information is maintained according to the way it was built in the source files. So all of my hierarchy from SketchUp or from Revit is maintained. And this allows people to know that as I work with this information, I'm not doing something that really can't happen. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do quirky things. As well, I'm able to select materials from either the materials that were in the model, the materials that are part of Trezi's library of materials, or if now that I'm able to work with BIM Object has materials, I can pull those in, as well as with my library, another feature within Trezi for me to get my own source stuff up and into Trezi as well for use while we're in here. And so here right now, we're leaving some text annotations along the way. All of this information that we're adding in, all of the movements during collaborative meetings, all of this is recorded in the meeting report, which gets delivered to the host at the end. So everything, all the activities, objects being brought in, deleted, moved, changed, all of that is getting recorded and will become part of the meeting report at the end of the thing. Here you can see Jonathan's moving the particular chair around over there on the left. You can see text things happening up there. We're going to go take a look at some of the content that could be available within BIM Object. And there we go. So it's an immediate look out to BIM Object's catalog of 1,800 brands. And I don't know, it's like, what, 250,000 objects. So this is everything that could possibly be available for you to bring into your building project. And so we're going to go and grab what everybody wishes they had at home, an Aeon chair. And so we can go ahead and select that and bring it in. We allow you to select either Revit format, SketchUp format, because in the not too distant future, as this content goes back into your source model, as we write back to Revit or write back to SketchUp, this information will come across in that regard, which will be very important to maintain the structure and the information that goes on. Here you're looking at my library, which is basically a personal content system that you build. And so this way here, you can upload your own content so that it is then available within Trezi. Here we're going to take a little deeper dive look at the BIM object catalog. As I said earlier, this happens to be a Steelcase model, but we're going to go grab some Hayworth furniture. So those fellow architects and interior designers will understand what that all means. But we're basically searching through the catalog. We're going to pull it on in. We're going to grab the Revit model. And in a couple of seconds here, it will pull in. Depending on the complexity of the models and such that are coming across, your bandwidth, all of that good stuff will determine how quick or how slow things pull in from BIM object. But ultimately, it's within the 30-second time frame or so. So here we have a new workstation. We're going to build out this particular area. And so just through a series of quick duplications, we're able to get the area built out. And we can immediately understand. So this is a typical thing, that does happen within space design, interior design, building design, the whole what if. Standing there with your client looking at, sections, drawings, you could be on site. Will this fit? Well, what if we had that, what we ordered wasn't going to be available in time? Certainly this is a large, long lead item, but we can get it all in there. We can see how many are going to fit. We can see what would happen if. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of work getting done right here, because instead of going back for the next couple of weeks, drawing this up, checking things out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we can do it right here. So we can take 40 hours worth of work and turn it into 4 hours of work. We can take 4 weeks of work and turn it into a week of work because you're here with your team making decisions from any location. So actually, when we did this, I was sitting here in Chicago, and these guys one was in Bangalore, one was in New Delhi. So, like we are doing now, working from anywhere, we're able to get work done within Trezi. So, and it's all very easy to use. You don't have to be a master of Revit, a master of SketchUp. You need to know 5 or 6 different things, maybe a couple of gaming navigation things with the keyboard and such, but anyone who is willing can get in here and learn and use how to do this within probably the first 15 minutes. If you're older like me who never played a video game, okay, it took me a little bit longer, but now no problem at all. So, and then as well as we've said, you're able to select materials, change materials, either from the existing pallets or the pallets we provide that then go into other opportunities. So you, again, quick changes, looking at what ifs, looking at ways of understanding what it's going to take to bring things in. Here's our material library that shows up with Trezi, and you're able to very quickly understand what's happening there. And then, as I said at the end, you're going to get a demo. You're going to get a meeting report for all of the details and everything that happened. So date, time, attendees, things like that. When they joined, how they joined, etc. You're going to see the colors that were assigned to them. But you're also going to get to understand what the changes were that they made and be able to go from there. One of the things I'd like to show is when we talk about the strict adherence and following and such, this is a little side-by-side here, Trezi on the right, Revit on the left. This is a fairly intensive
we lost, it looks like Darren, so we're back. We're Bob and I sprung to the rescue. Darren, we're to reconnect, but while we wait for Darren, I know we also have a bunch of his teammates online. Oh, Darren's on his
It looks like somebody in your family tripped over the cord.
No, I think, I like what Joanna said earlier about drinking your own champagne. I have this thing right now where I really like to use Chromebooks and push everything on the cloud, including Trezi. So maybe I took a bigger gulp than I should have, and the bubbles.
It's all about taking risks, right?
Yeah. So let me just hit the old share button again.
And then it's all about staying home. It's about pushing the envelope. All right.
All right. So
we have some questions too while you're getting set up. Do you want me to ask you a few of those while you get set up? Or?
Sure, go for it, because I'm basically, I'd like to basically at this point then like take those questions and do it that way, because and I'll leave.
So we have a question that Jessica actually answered already, but I'll just put it out there for everybody. For Marie Vance from HP, your question is, are these spaces persistent? Can you come back to the same room at a different time?
Yes, you can. All of your workspaces will get saved. And so as you work through these meetings, you can have meeting after meeting after meeting. It's one of the most important things is that like any meeting, it's not like, hey, we're done, boom, toss this out, this is over. Nope, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it again. And so, in building design and construction, there's a weekly meeting that happens every single week. We're going to be in here. We're going to look at all the shades of blue that we could possibly come up with today. Okay. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic, but that's what happens. It's like every single week, all this stuff comes in, you revisit and such. So you're going to be able to maintain that space, add into it, and you're going to be able to keep a log. And of course, you know what? If it was a really unproductive meeting, the host doesn't have to save it. And so never happened. It was not unproductive. We only keep the productive meetings. But that's the beauty and the benefit. So it is persistent, and you can come back. You can deal with versions and revisioning and all the good fun stuff.
Great. And how many concurrent users are allowed?
So we don't have a limit. We know there's probably one there. We are built on top of Unreal. We're a gaming engine. So we know it could get really crowded. And as everybody has been saying all afternoon, hey, there's only so many people you can invite to your house before it gets unruly. So, it's up to you. And like I said, we've got mute all, and individuals can mute other people as well. So it can get kind of fun. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think we built the kick somebody out button, but hey, the host can always just end the meeting and call it a day if it gets a little too busy.
Excellent.
I think you need that. I think you need that kick people out button though, because like even here, Crowdcast has that, and if you get somebody that's, you don't want somebody to ruin the entire meeting and have to cancel the meeting.
Well, suddenly we're going to have those, Zoom spam people, right? Going to come in and flood with chairs flying all over the place or something, inserting like no tomorrow. So we're going to have to kick them out, I guess.
So we have a question. What is the maximum size of asset it supports in poly count? And that question is from, I'd say the name right, Sadyith Amanarayanan.
Satya.
I'm sorry, your name very well.
So so this is where things always get tricky, is in terms of the poly count. This is what happens when you start handling a lot of this information, this detailed building information coming into VR, because we're going from something that's basically object oriented into something that's a mesh. And okay, so we want low poly and all that good fun stuff, but we also want efficiency. And so I've seen things, at the same sizing, whether it's poly count or physical size, come in. One works really well, and then there's no problems at all, and the other one doesn't. And so there's always going to be a series of factors that come into the play: the way it was structured, the way you're organizing it, things like that. And again, if it's coming out of Revit, we typically don't see issues. If it's coming out of some other source models, we get issues where it's just really heavy, and that becomes a problem. So there's a little bit of back and forth that needs to happen, but our support team is there to work with you. We really know what's going on, and if anything, I'll figure it out for you and sit side by side in a meeting, and we'll get it done. So. Excellent.
We have a question from Jessica. How long does it usually take to get inside the design process or file?
Say that again, because I can't find the question to read it.
How long does it usually take to get inside the design process or file?
Oh, okay. So yeah, again, if it's a small little model, like I'm in part of all of this shelter at home is I'm in the middle of a renovation project of my own house, and I've been doing all of this. So for small model, it's very quick. We're talking seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, load that model up, in you go, have a good time. And that's for everyone, whether it's by myself or 50 people coming in. Actually that 12 floor model that I almost started to show, that one took a couple of minutes. That took about 2.5 minutes to load all that information in. That was a 600 or so meg Revit model that became about 60 meg or so for Trezi. And yeah, it took a couple of minutes to load that up, but once you're in it, you're smoothly walking around. So, that little bit of wait goes a long way.
Right. Can you use, the question from Neil, can you use render scaling for models?
Can you use renders? What was the?
Can you use render scaling for models?
Oh, okay. Render scaling. So yeah, so we read the scale of the model coming in. So everything is going to be full size ultimately. So whether, however you're dealing with scale, that 1-to-1 unit will become full size when you go into the model itself. Out at tabletop, things are, at God scale or, whatever you want to call it, dollhouse, tabletop, I don't know.
Great.
So yeah.
Great. Then we have a question about other technology support. So do you support the Leap motion sensor or custom hollow suit?
So currently, if it, as other people have been saying, if it works with Steam VR, it works with us. So that's the easiest way to understand what's going on. We are constantly looking at what's next. Obviously, we look at our core customers, which are architects and interior designers, building product manufacturers. What are they using? Some of them, a little small sect, will be using everything possible. Others, hey, what can I go buy really cheaply? And my 10-year-old's going to tell me how to use it. So that's where we go.
Great. So tell us about the link you have below. What will people find there?
So essentially that is a link for us to get your information and get the conversation going and get you into Trezi. So everything from the free trial and then talking to you about, what it is that you're trying to solve and how we can assist you in getting there. So all that good stuff. I know within India itself, during this during this pandemic and everything that's happening, where we do have a series of specials running to keep people running and keep their projects going. We were just about to start our entry here into the US market. So give me a call. We'll see what happens. We're definitely geared up and ready to go, and finding that meetings in Trezi are being very successful and a great way to get your feet wet.
Well, Darren, thank you. Unfortunately, we just lost Joanna for a moment. But I think we've gotten pretty much everything answered, and fantastic presentation. Actually, some great questions.
Great.
And thanks very much for your participation and patience today as well with the schedule.
Hey, I've had a great time. It's been a lot of information, a lot of stuff that I've been noting down as well. If anyone has more questions, reach out to me, reach out to our site, click the link. We're here.
Okay. Darren, thank you very much, and thanks to your team in India.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, for being up in the middle of the night.
You had to have the last word.
Wait, we didn't hear about Darren's art yet, did we?
Oh, okay. Tom,
everyone needs to hear about Darren's art on his walls, because we've gotten some comments on that. How great your backup is.
It always does. It's Tom Everhart, and he's the one guy that has the rights to peanuts.
Oh.
Okay, well.
It's not one thing, it's another.
Yeah, okay. So we're coming back with ozone technology next in a few